Welcome back, everybody. Since it's that time of year and the kids are all going back to school, let's see if we can get the old school bus to run. It ain't running right now. I think it just needs cleaning. So we're going to take it all apart and give it a good cleaning and see what it looks like on the inside. All right, we got it on the bench here. So to take this apart, you got screw back here, screw up front here. It's a couple little Phillips head screws. So this thing should be pretty easy, as long as ain't nothing broken there. But it used to run. I haven't ran it in a long time, so it shouldn't take too much to get this thing going. So this probably just be a short little video. Got another video that I'm working on. There it is. Screw out. Nothing to it. Looks like the motor is from like an old race HO scale slot car motor or some kind, maybe. That's it. I would say that's just like a slot car motor. And it's got the light in there. We ain't gonna get all crazy with it and put no LED or nothing in there. The pickups on it, it's just got some wipers on the rear wheels on each side that do the pickup. So I don't know if that motor is going to come out of there. Not sure. I would say probably, yeah, probably could. But this thing being old, I don't know if I'm going to pry on it too much. So let me see if I can get that motor out of there. Alright, I got that motor out. Wasn't very hard. This piece right here, you just pry it back real gently, and then the motor pops out that way and it comes out. So that little piece of plastic there, this goes onto the around that front of that motor and holds it in place. But you gotta be careful, this plastic's old and you don't want to break it. So, and then you got the wiper pickups. They're just, they come right out. Just like that. Just pull them right out. There's little slots in that plastic right there. They slide in and out. So, and the wheels on this thing, you probably got to pull them off the axle shaft and all that. Wow, they are loose. But I guess that won't matter. This side's loose. Dang. There we go, that's better. It was just about to fall off there, I think. So I'll get down in there with my little tools and clean the back side of those wheels up. They look really, really dirty. And this has got plastic gears, so I'll clean those up a little bit and just put a little bit of grease on them. And then for the motor, looks like it's got little bushings here. These little things probably come off somehow. I'm not sure how. Look like it is pried on, pry off, I would say. Probably not much to them. I got springs and all kinds of good stuff in there, so I gotta be careful they don't fly across the room. But yeah, I think that's how it does it. Yep, we got springs, little spring in there, and probably a little bushing. Yep, little square style brush. Turn the camera down here so you can see a little better. You can see that little square style brush right there, and then it's got springs, so you don't want to lose that. And then the other side, slowly pry it off. Get under there and Pop it right off there with a little flathead screwdriver, and just work it slow so you don't lose that spring. So set them off to the side, and then the other what do you call them, bushings or brushes? Yeah, brushes. So much stuff to remember, but motor spins pretty free. Well, I don't know how you're gonna get in there and clean that. Well, you could find something small, get down in there and clean it maybe. Really don't look too bad. Well, we're gonna clean it up anyway. So let me get this all cleaned up and then we'll put it back together. Alright everybody, I attempted to put that motor back together for this bus, and I got it back together and it wouldn't run. So I don't know, I tried to do it a couple times, and in the process I lost one of the brushes for it, and those things were so small I don't know where it is. Probably on the floor or across the other side of the shop here somewhere, I don't know. But I said the heck with it. I guess I'm committed, so I'm just going to put a new motor in it. And what I've got is this little cheap can motor. I bought a pack of these for like, I don't know, I got like 8 of them maybe for like 10 bucks years ago, and they run as good as the price. That's all I gotta say. That's why none of them are any locomotives. So, but I think it would be fine for the school bus maybe. You know, since it's not pulling any cars or anything like that. So it's just full of kids. That's it. So I got to remove some of this plastic and stuff, so it'll set down on there. And I got this other worm gear here. Now hopefully it's a little bigger than the original one, but the spacing between the gear, or the things here, the spines, is the same. So I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna glue it on here, then just hold it on there and see if it'll run it. So I don't know if it will or not, but hopefully it will. So I got to do a lot of modifications, cut a lot of this plastic out of the way, and try to get that to fit in there just where it needs to be to run that little gear right there. So well, here's what we got accomplished on here. I got the motor all in, and electrical pickups, which we're going to rub behind the wheels. Here's the wheels, and those wires we're going to rub on the back side of these wheels, because each one of these wheels does the pickup. And it was running. It was a little loud, but it was running. And then the front wheels were plastic, and I don't know, it just wanted to wobble going down the track. So I did away with the front wheels and put in some metal wheels, and was going to do additional pickups with these wheels. So when I was running it, this thing's old, probably from the 80s or something, I'd say, probably early 80s. So this plastic's becoming really brittle. Well, the pieces that hold the axle to the frame decided they wanted to break off. So it's not going to run no more. I even had the LED in it. It was all running, working. It was just a little loud, and just put these wheels on it and was getting ready to do a test run with it, and was adjusting these, and this axle, the axle mounts for the original axle broke and it fell off. It was really brittle. So also noticed, like on the mounts here, when I put it on, it had busted. I had to glue it back together. It's also pretty brittle too. So this is pretty much garbage, I guess. I'm gonna go a different route. Third time's a charm, I guess. Got this old Mantu, I believe it's an old Mantu drive. Got the rivets in it so it can't come apart. It does run. So I'm gonna try to take it apart and use the motor with this axle set here. I think, or no, it'd be this one. The rear axle. That's the gear driven one. So the motor's right there and drives this gear, so we can get rid of this axle. Maybe I'll construct a new frame of some kind. But once I get this stuff off here, Should fit underneath this shell, no problem. Could probably cut off the rear where the coupler is, because we really won't need it unless we want to pull some train cars with it, but I don't think so. So I'm going to disassemble this and try to make a new chassis out of this. I think I can, maybe once I get the wheels set out and see what else is there, I can do some extension of some kind out, and I may go back to using, take this wheel set off here because it has both wheels will pick up if I put some things on there to rub the backside of the wheels, I think. So I may use these wheels. These are Lifelike wheels, I think, off of old Lifelike parts thing. So, and this has traction tire pickup wheel, so I'm going to need another pickup, so probably use these. Let's clean them up, because this one has traction tire there too, and that's not gear driven, just picks up. So we're going to need pickup on each rail. So, but this one don't run too bad. Actually, this runs quieter than this one did, but this one ran, and like I said, just wobbled. I changed that wheel and then readjusted and broke the back one. So let me get this apart and see what we can do with this one. Alright, I got that chassis built out of that Mantu MU drive unit, and what I did was grinded out those grinded the heads off those rivets there on the bottom, and then pulled them through, and then got in there and gave it a good clean and all that. It was pretty dirty. And that one axle that spun, I thought it wasn't geared, but it was. It was just, all the gears were ate off of it. So I think the reason why the gears got ate off that axle is because they got these little brass pieces that go in between the mount here and the bottom plate that these axles slide into. And as you can see, this axle ain't gonna slide into this one. As I've seen, these axles, they move back and up, back and forth just a hair, and when they do, that plastic gear was rubbing either side, depending on which way it's moving back and forth, like on that Bowser locomotive, how it was rubbing in there, that gear. So I just filed them down enough to where it wouldn't do that anymore. Clean them up really good. And I bet that's what happened to that one, because that one, it don't even fit in there hardly. So it probably got stuck and was just grinding away. So if you guys take these apart, and you should always check those clearances. Sometimes either somehow they just don't line up. I mean, the clearances aren't good. Like on those Bowser T1s, I noticed on a few of them they're like that. So the Mantu too. So I had to file that one down, so when the wheels go back and forth, they don't rub nowhere, cause any problems. So when I got that all taken care of and cleaned up and put back together, I used these number 4-40 by 1 1/4. I get these at Lowe's. I think it's where I got these. You can get them at any hardware. The Hillman. They only cost a couple bucks. So, and then I just run them through there, and they were pretty long, so I just cut them off. And they probably work pretty good on like the if you're just trying to service the locomotive, you get rid of them rivets, put those in there. Just drill it out that same size. Get a drill bit same size as that bolt, and to run it through there. It isn't much bigger than the original hole, so I mean it went through pretty easy. So let's see here. This piece I made out of brass, just bent it and drilled a hole, mount to the top there, and then you can see it's got a hole right there, and that's for the back mount right there. And then the front mount right there, which goes up there, and I added a couple weights in there. So I take the original weights out of the school bus, and then I just used a piece of flat brass that was about the same thickness as these little bushings here for the axles. So, because I eliminated the axle plus the bushing in the front, and then had to file that down nice and flat. There was a couple tabs on this part here for that brass piece to sit in, so I filed those off. And this piece is about the same thickness, that brass. So I just drilled a hole and mounted in there, and then gave it a slight bend so it would sit more level in the bus. So, and drilled the hole there. Had to put a couple spacers in there so it'd mount up correctly and wouldn't sit all lopsided. And then need to pick up on this wheel from the one rail. So I took a plastic tube, a styrene plastic tube, and put a brass wire through it and glued it in there. And then once it dried, I bent it and used that resin or that epoxy and epoxy that tube down to the chassis, and then put the wheels back on, and it rubs that wheel right there. So the reason I did all that with the plastic tube is because it wouldn't short out, it would touch that frame, because this wheel does the pickup through the frame and then it's all connected, so I didn't want no shorts. And then I just bent the wire up and just wired over and soldered there where it needed to go, and then used those lifelike wheels, clean them up really good, and just got a plastic tube and cut it to the size I needed, and pulled the wheel off and slid the wheel and axle and put them back together, engaged them, and then put some oil on them. They turn okay. They turn pretty good for what they are. So that was about it. No LED. Really isn't. I took the LED off this thing and was going to put it in there, but you know, with the added weights and you got the hood there, so you really ain't got much room for one. So, but this thing is running. It's running pretty quiet and pretty good, I think. Better than that thing original ever did, and better than this one ever did too. So, and it's got some good weight to it, but I did add about a ½ ounce up in the front because I wanted to get a little more weight to the front. So, we'll mount this all back together. It's got the original mount screws, so it just fits right on there, and you put 2 screws on, and you know, the front wheels are a little bit bigger, but that works good. So we get this back together and we'll put it on the track and we'll see what it does. Oh hey, welcome back everybody. I'm just down here on the river catching some catfish. You all just sit back and enjoy this video while I sit down here and catch some more catfish. Alright everybody, I got it here on the layout. I'm going to fire it up and see how it runs, and maybe stop and pick up some people. See if there's anybody that needs to go to school, or this is a Union Pacific school bus, so I guess we're just going to drive around and pick up some people that need to go to work. Slowed it down just a little bit. Thing's nice and quiet. Alright, we're going to bring everybody back home now. The other direction. Now I slowed it down a little bit. Let's see what it does. Not too bad. Alright, let's see what kind of slow speed this thing's got. Not too bad. Reverse. Well. Now let's do forward again. Well, turn it on maybe. There we go. So it's creeping along. There's slow speed. That's about as slow as it'll go. Well, I thought we'd do something different. Since it's that time of year, kids going back to school and all that stuff going on, we just do old school bus. I haven't ran it in a long time, like a couple of years. Didn't run when I tested it, so took the original motor apart and tried cleaning it up and get it going, and I couldn't get that little thing going. And then I ended up losing one of the bushings out of it, or the brushes out of it. And then went with the can motor. That didn't work out too good. It was a little noisy, and then it just kept falling apart as I worked on it because that cheap plastic. And the rear axle broke out of it, and I was just over that. So then we went to the MU drive out of Mantu, which worked out pretty well, I think. I mean, I had to build a frame and all that, you know, for the front wheels and all that. But it runs quiet, runs pretty smooth, and I don't think being a one-wheel pickup on each track probably wouldn't go through switches much and stuff. That's why I ran it on the lower level here instead of the other levels, because there's some switches and stuff like that, and it probably would stop. But I hope you all enjoyed it, and please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.